Welcome, welcome, welcome to the continuation of the Introductory Neuro Kabbalah, or I like to call it Introduction to the Kabbalah and Introduction to the NeuroSefirot course that will be starting on Tuesday, March 26th. Welcome to join me. In this session today, I would like to talk to you about the origins of Kabbalah, about how to start understanding on a basic level what the study of Kabbalah means, what Kabbalah means in generally, our understanding, universal understanding of the world. Like I mentioned in the first video, Kabbalah is a mystical teaching in Judaism that have now expanded to actually many other groups. It used to be, like I said before, Kabbalah would be only open to certain students of certain status, a high status, somebody who knew Judaic studies very well, somebody who knew Talmud very well, somebody who learned Torah, somebody who observed all of the traditions. Nowadays, many groups still keep that tradition that you should only study Kabbalah if you follow the rules of the religion, if you follow study of the religion. However, nowadays, Kabbalah became open to everyone in the world. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your nationality is, what your religion is, what do you believe in, how much you know and how much you don't know about religion or about mysticism or esoterics, right? A lot of people nowadays know a lot about esoterics, right? Not necessarily religion, although somewhere they do connect, right? It's interesting to note. In America, I would say, or let's say in the pop culture, the trend was given, of course, by none other than Madonna herself, the pop singer. She was the first one who started talking about Kabbalah, the famous red string that went, I remember watching Will and Grace, and it was in there too. They mentioned the red string, right? People would talk about the red string. Nowadays, when you go to Jerusalem, if you go to the Western Wall, the ladies there's this old lady who sells the red strings, and it's a pop thing, right? If I go to Israel I used to work in different schools. I used to work in a school in Harlem, and people would ask me, can you bring me the red strings? People were not Jewish, people were actually Christians, you know, they really believed in a Christian religion, but the red string became a pop culture trend, right? Now, what other thing did Madonna do? She actually wrote a book about interesting Kabbalistic ideas, but one of the major ways everybody knew, without actually maybe knowing that it was a Kabbalistic term, people would listen to her song, The Ray of Light. It's one of my favorite songs. I actually used to own that album, like that CD, right? She made a whole CD called The Ray of Light. Many of you may not know it, but The Ray of Light is actually a Kabbalistic, one second. Is a Kabbalistic term that we will be talking about in a few sessions. I will actually bring it in. It has to do with what we're discussing here, the creation of the world, okay? And that's interesting to note that nowadays Kabbalistic studies are open to everybody. So it's important to start noting. It's important to start understanding what it means. What can it contribute to your understanding of the world, to your understanding, perception of how the world works, okay? Now, let's start in understanding one of the major ideas within the Kabbalistic learning studies is that the lower is a parallel to the higher. And the idea here is the opportunity, the learning Kabbalah is the opportunity to see how the structures of interaction between the higher and the lower world, right? We all know the understanding metaphorically or even physically, right? The lower worlds physically refer to being on the ground, the earth, the soil, working, hardworking, physical work, and of course, higher worlds refer to the heavens or understanding. If we're discussing the metamodern quadrants, right, the famous metamodern quadrant, the idea that we refer to, the major idea is that the elements, even the creation of the elements, have to do structurally connected to the Kabbalistic studies, right? The earth element, the metal element, and the fire element belong to the earthy elements, right? To the lower elements, to the understanding how the lower world works, okay? In the lower world, we need fire, we need passion, we need earth, we need to work hard, connection to the physical labor, and of course, we need metal, connection to what I discussed in the previous session, the law, the structure, the understanding of how people can get along includes rules. We will be discussing that very strongly in the Sefirot. study, because the Sefirot study is just about that, about how to have passion about something, about how to have rules about something, and how to combine both of them to create something new and unique, to bring creativity forward, right? The higher worlds, by the way, connect us to creativity, the air, wood, wind, space element, which is a connection to creativity, connection to imagination, connection to fantasy. And of course, it connects us to the water element. Yes, water it seems to be it's an earth element, but it's important to note. Waters, if we go follow the biblical story of creation, waters actually came from the heaven. And there was a story in the, I believe, third day of creation, where God, it says, separated the waters and sent part of the waters to the lower worlds. And that part, that water that was separated, was very upset. It kept saying, I want to connect to the water that's on top. I want to belong on top. And God created water as an element in a way where it can be both in the lower world and in the higher world. But it's interesting to know the essence of the water element belongs in the higher world, because the water element is the highest element possible. It's the element that we all strive to be. It's the element of reaching perfection not in the human understanding, but rather perfection and understanding of connecting both the earthy and the heavenly together and creating something unique, bringing forward various important changes in the world. Will the world transforms, becomes better? That does come by trying to become the water, because water, like I mentioned, part of the water is here on earth. We have them as oceans, we have them as rivers, right? Water is everywhere, but we know there is part of water on top, right? And even the whole cycle of water going around, right? Evaporating is going up, then the rain goes down, and the water goes down. And that's the idea. Our job in life is to learn how to combine the higher world with the lower world. The knowledge of Kabbalah, the knowledge of Sefirot will give us that chance, will give us a chance to connect, to learn how to connect the both together. And one of the major principles in Kabbalah is the lower is like the higher. It's very hard for us to learn, to make changes in the heavens, because we're human beings. We're here, we rule the earth. But it's important to know that whatever changes we make here in the lower world will bring changes in the higher world, will bring changes in the structure, in the way the higher world, in the way the world gets created every single day. It's very interesting to know. It's the creation of the world is understanding the level, the integral system, the entire universe as a whole, and each of the worlds, okay? We're going to study about the 4 major worlds. We're going to study about how the soul, the human soul, has 5 parts that connect us to each of the worlds. And it's interesting to start understanding all of the person, the way we are human beings are created, our so to say, spiritual or soul connection, right? The way we are connected, many of you would know the word aura. The way our aura is consists of the knowledge of the 10 Sefirot. And that's why it's important. But also the 10 Sefirot contribute to the way the world was created. I am inviting you to join me for further sessions where I can, trying to do slowly, little by little, to tell you about how the world was created in order for you to, again, expand your knowledge, expand your understanding of the world, and of course, welcome to understand how the Sefirot knowledge works, the importance of knowing how Sefirot works, and join me for the NeuroSefirot course. You're welcome to register on my website, NeuroGraphicaUSA.com. You can also try my name, lanashalom.com, but I got the message that in a few countries, some people told me from various countries that my website, lanashalom.com, doesn't work there for some reason, but NeuroGraphicaUSA.com definitely works. So welcome to join me on that website, and I'm looking forward in talking to you further in the next video.